Hey everyone, this is Alessio. Hope you're well. In this particular video, I know many of you probably want an update on the situation. I have my good friend and trader Charlie Burton, who is on the line here. And Charlie, by the way, how are you doing? We're going to talk about euro and the dollar, the situation with the euro and the dollar
Yeah,
situation. You well?
very good. It's fascinating markets, aren't they, all of a sudden over this
Yeah,
past week or two. So all
yeah.
good and looking forward to having a chat about it.
Because I was thinking of doing an update myself about it, but then I realized, well, this is your specialty. This is the area you focus on the most, the currencies. So I thought it'd be a good idea for our viewers to get your view, not just mine. All right, guys, join us. Okay, we're back. So first of all, let's focus. I want to focus first on the chart, the euro, and then we go on to actually dollar, euro, whichever one you want to start with. But the thing that I want to actually mention is this. In my previous video, just to give a recap, in my previous video, I pointed out, well, at the time I made my video, the euro had been falling for 8 consecutive weeks, as we can see from this weekly chart. And it's now been, what is it, 10
11.
weeks? I think it's been 11. What is that, 11 weeks now? I guess, this is actually, I've looked back at the past history of the euro and also the dollar. And something like this has never happened before from a high above the 50 average. So apparently it's the first time in history, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, that the euro has been falling straight for 10 consecutive weeks above its 50-day average, without a single green bar, without a single major pullback. So on the daily chart, we can see we are oversold here on the RSI. I think that's the 21 setting of RSI. We're oversold there on the daily. In my previous video, I said there's no sign of a bottom on the euro unless it gets above, unless it manages to get above its 109 region here. Yeah, 109 or 108.85. And I said there's absolutely no reason to get bullish on the euro because there's no sign of a bottom. Although I have to say I did not expect it to drop as much as it did, but I'm surprised that it fell. I was wrong about my expectation that it would not drop below this low. And the dollar, the same exact opposite as yourself, Charlie, have said. Just dollar is the opposite of the euro. Beg your pardon, 10 consecutive or 11 weeks now.
11. Yeah.
Yep. Green bars, and now broken above its resistance, which I did not expect it was going to. Obviously, I was wrong about my expectation that it would not break this level. I didn't think it was going to break that level, personally. Nevertheless, in my previous video, I warned that there's no sign of a top in the dollar until it drops back below 103. So I said we have to wait. That's my point. I said we have to wait until the dollar can break below support at 103 or 103.5 before we can say there's a top. And unless it gets below that, there's no point calling for a top. So that was my warning last time. Okay, so that's got out of the way. Let's go to your chart, Charlie, and let's see what you've got.
Okay, there's a lot to say here about the euro and the dollar. I don't know where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start on the
Well,
dollar index or the euro?
here's the thing. A lot of people are watching this right now, and maybe if you can keep this answer very brief, there are a lot of people who are fundamentals based, and they're probably thinking, okay, well, what's going on? Why is this happening? Now, obviously, you and I know the why doesn't matter. It's not relevant to our discussion. But do you have any views on that very quickly?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Well, I mean, what's really the progression that the euro's been steadily declining anyway, since the summer, and I think when the Fed back in the summer removed the word recession from from Powell did from his language, that sort of was, fun enough, accompanied the highs over here. But nevertheless, what's happened in this last week where we've really accelerated the downside, and it's obviously not just the euro, the pound is very similar, and is that the FOMC last week, Powell has really made it clear that they're going to hold interest rates higher for longer. That's the language right now. Now, in 3 months' time, you don't know if they have to change their mind, depending on if there was a deterioration in the data coming out of the US economy. But for now, that's what they're saying, and so that is what has helped accelerate the dollar in this last week or so since FOMC. And so the fundamentals are that, for one, you've got a Eurozone economy and the UK, which are stuttering. Let's say at best. You've got Germany is already in recession, And yet you've got a US economy which keeps on surprising. We keep on.
Yeah.
We just had surprises last week. We've had the PMIs data out last week. So the manufacturing PMIs, services PMIs,
Yeah.
which are coming out better than expected. So the manufacturing sector, the services sector coming out better than expected. Employment is better than expected. And so when you really marry up the two and you're comparing two economies, the euro against the US, which one's faring better at the moment? It is still the US. And accompanying that, you've got a Federal Reserve who are saying, well, interest rates are probably going to have to stay higher for longer. And then one of the Fed members just yesterday, Kashkari, who's actually traditionally one of the more dovish members of the Federal Reserve, said, well, there's a 40% probability that we have to hike even higher and materially higher. And so that upset the markets a couple of days ago as well. So,
in other words, is your view going back to that? How about we go back to the weekly chart? This is one we just discussed earlier.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fallen below the 50. I mean, we've fallen. I guess my point is that I did not think that the euro was going to tremendously fall below the 50 simple moving average. If you just want to show where the 50 simple moving average is to everyone on that euro chart. Yeah, exactly there. I mean, I was surprised that it dropped below that significantly. I thought it was going to hold that level as it typically does when we're above it. But what's your point? Is this a trend reversal in the euro and the dollar, or is this still part of a correction? What's your view on this?
Well, I think markets correct in different ways. We have shallow corrections, and then occasionally markets will always do deeper corrections. Personally, I am seeing this as a deeper correction, not a complete trend reversal. So if we take what happened last year, let me come back to the 50 in a minute. But what happened last year when the euro dollar bottomed last year? That was a major low down there at around about 95.50. It was a historical level. The central banks don't like, the Federal Reserve. They didn't like the dollar being that strong at that point, and the euro ECB didn't like the euro being that weak, because of course it affects economies. It's good for exports for the eurozone, but it's bad for exports for the US. But also, it may be good for exports for the eurozone if you've got a cheap an undervalued currency, but you're also going to be importing inflation. So there is a fine line. The point is that, do I think there's a major reversal, as you've asked? The answer is no. Now, I think that this is a move that we're having down into the autumn, and we'll probably at least see a bit of a bounce there at some point later in the year. Right now, though, the euro, as of the recording this today, yesterday, I know this is on a weekly chart, we're right on top of the year's lows. This is really important. The year's low is over here, and that's at 104.82. We came down to 104.88 yesterday. I would expect the year's lows to get taken out at some point in the coming whatever days or week. It could even happen today. So one would expect that. Bear in mind also, the euro dollar has only done an 800 pip range this year in total. Its average is 1600 pips. So the potential to expand the range on the year is there. So could we see the euro down at 103 or whatever? Yes. But am I seeing this as a major reversal? Would we come back down to the lows? No, not at the moment. No, I'm not. You're absolutely right. Normally you would expect a bit more of a bounce around that weekly 50. It hasn't happened. But one thing to bear in mind is that when it comes to moving averages, you see the trajectory of this 50, it's still angled upwards. Quite often you'll see price come through it, and if it's still angled upwards, price will end up bouncing back up. So that's something to watch out for. But I'm not trying to predict a low at a bottom at this point, because I still think that we can come a bit lower down here in the near term. But I'm not looking for this to be a major reversal back down to the lows from last year.
Do you think that, given how oversold we are on the daily, and also how we've had 10, 11 consecutive weeks of red bars, I mean, the odds are increasing, at least for some kind of a retracement back, at least to the breakout point. I mean, the breakout point, I don't know where that was, 106 or something like that. Is that something you're seeing, maybe some kind of a major retracement coming in the next week or so? Because I think it would be quite likely, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, when you, yes, of course, we are at those years' lows or just above. So
Mm.
we're either, if we bounce now, having not got to those years' lows as yet, this is
Yeah.
the daily chart here. So if
Mm.
we bounce now, I'd still expect us to come back down and do an actual penetration of those lows,
Mm.
or we come down a little bit more now and then we'll get the bounce. So you're right, technically we are oversold, but
You still think there's more downside to come despite any bounce? Is that what you're saying?
yes, in the, one way or another, we're going to need to, I think the market is going to need to take out those years lows. Now, if you'd have asked me this a week or two ago, I'd have still said, I think that's debatable. But now we're down here and close to it, then yes, we should want to take that out. But
Okay.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I've got a channel on here. We could very comfortably bounce within this channel. I'm, like you've just said, I'm not interested in trying to catch a bottom. And if you look at the sentiment of retail traders, they're all long at the moment, aren't they? So because that's what they do, and they've been trying to catch a falling knife. So
Okay.
there are times when, of course, technical traders can do that, but at the moment, I think it's I think it's a dangerous zone to try and go long, just yet. Like you've just said, wait for, if you want to be long, there'll be ample opportunity to get long at some point, but maybe right now is not the case, is not the point. Even if it does a technical little bounce in the near term, the risk is it just rolls back over.
Yeah, and the same exact opposite applies for the dollar, DXY. We just have a look at that as well. Yeah, the exact
Yeah.
opposite applies for this one as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we go out to the weekly chart, though, again, though, look at the angle of that 50-week moving average here, still angled downwards. So you're absolutely right. We are overbought on the dollar and oversold on the euro dollar. So there is that potential of a pullback, which could happen at any time. But
Mm.
either way, I still that euro dollar is going to need to nudge, at least make that new low on the year, even if it's only by a pip, or whether it's 100 pips. So I think that's the risk at the moment. I think when it comes to, when markets are in really strong runs, it's difficult to catch the actual top. It's a bit like when the dollar was having this run
Yeah.
last year. We knew that it was getting toppy at that point back here, but difficult to actually pinpoint it, because as we can see, it was racing through some technical levels here. So we're probably you're right, we're getting close to at least a temporary low. But we're recording this in late September, right at the end of September. I am looking for a more material bounce to come in, but I was hoping that won't be until maybe November and December. So from a seasonal perspective, the seasonalities work better with the currencies in about November time to see a retracement in the dollar. So we're a bit early at the moment for a major retracement, should I say.
Yeah, and the final thing I was going to say that I think the next retracement or pullback is going to be absolutely important to see what happens in that retracement. If it falls back below support, then maybe we have the end of this rally. But I think the way you're saying it is, any pullbacks are more likely to result in a continuation of this move, a continuation of this rally in the dollar, and a continuation. I think what you're saying is a continuation of potential drop in the euro as well.
Yeah, I think the euro, when price gets this close to a major low, then it's highly likely that it's going to go there. Whether we bounce, right now in the coming days, or it might even go there today. We're literally 20 pips, less than 20 pips away from that low. So it could do it today.
Yeah.
So one way or another, I would look for that to get taken out. But then we can then start looking at all of that. But yeah.
So I think the next bounce or pullback could be very important here on the euro as well. Let's see what happens. If it manages to go back above resistance, then maybe we have a low in place. But if we don't, if that pullback refuses to go back above resistance, which I think, what is your key resistance in the euro right now? Is it 107.7 or something like that?
Well, when I look at the Yeah, I mean, we've got this line in the sand. That's what you're looking at on my chart, which if we go back, goes all the way back through history. This is a monthly chart now, goes all the way back through 2000 and the 15, 16, 17 zone. So that's what that level is, chopping through all of that. So, but at the moment, for me, it'll probably be the 50-day moving average. So that,
okay.
as we can see, is really coming down at a steep angle. So price would need to get above that, and for that 50 to then flatten off. So it'd need to be doing something like this. So that'll take some time. So
That'll take some time. Yeah,
that's what I'll be looking at. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Charlie. Just to mention, guys, do check out Charlie Burton's service, his gold level membership. Charlie also runs a trading room. Really suggest that you check it out. And by the way, you can actually access, I think, are we still running a discount, Charlie?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, we are.
So we're still, I think Charlie's still running a discount on his gold level membership. Check it out. The link is in the description. I believe it's charlieburtontrading.com/LT gold. Again, I'll put the link in the description for you guys. Do check it out. Again, take it for a test drive. I think you'll be very much pleased with the service that Charlie provides, which is mostly currency based as well. Can you just summarize for everyone in just a minute what you provide and what people get from your service?
Yeah, I'll try. So, yeah, the hub of the community, it's really a trading community. The hub of the community is the trading room. I'm about to go in there in a minute. So I run several sessions per day, right from the early morning session. We're recording this early. And then we do training sessions and live news-based sessions if there's news out, every day of the week, 5 days a week. And every session is recorded as well. A lot of my members, they have full-time jobs as well, so they can't all be there live. And I have people all around the world, people in the States, people in Australia. They can't always be there live, so they can pick up the recordings as well. And any trades I take, I post all those trades so people can see all the trades that I'm taking as well. So it's a real community of learning, education, and watching what I do as well. So it's multifaceted.
Thanks very much, Charlie. Really appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Thanks for having me on.